Okay, so the first thing I'd like everyone to do is to go to the blog assignment that you actually worked on. And you get to tweak it today using like some copy marketing and SEO best practices that I'm going to share with you. That's going to help increase the visibility of your actual article and increase the chances that people on Google that are searching for topics related to what you're writing about are going to be able to actually see it on their search results. And you know, right, that most people rarely go to page 2 on a Google search. You all use Google, right? Does anyone use a different search engine like Yahoo or Bing? Are we all pretty much Google? Yeah, I like 2/3 of the world uses Google, and the other 1/3 is I think China, because they don't use Google and they use another search engine. I think it's called Weibo or something. So it's pretty much like dominates the world, and it really helps to think of your search engine or Google, or use those terms interchangeably. So when I say Google, I'm really saying search engines, because they pretty much operate with a similar set of rules, and these principles will apply equally, almost equally, just about, to all the other search engines that you might be using. And if you look at search engines broadly, YouTube is a search engine. Instagram is a search engine for images and photos. Twitter is a search engine for microblogs, and so on. So these principles apply everywhere whenever you're involved in the world of online publishing or online marketing and you're trying to get your word or your product out there. Okay, so if you go into your article, so I'm going to use mine. I'm going to use this as, can everybody see? 8 reasons why your behavioral health business needs to be on social media. And I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this. So Command A for Mac people, Control A for PC people, Command C or Control C. And then you basically just go into WordPress and, well, first you'll need to log in. So it's going to take you to this page. Now, if you've already logged in, you've seen it before. If you haven't, you have to just click here. And then when you do, you're going to be using this. And oh, don't use paint1234. I believe it's that same password I sent everybody. So it's like the paint something 2020. Let me know if you still need to log in, and I could send it to you, but only if you holler and say you don't have it, because otherwise I'll assume everybody is all set and ready. So when you log in, it is going to take you to a dashboard that looks something like this. Now, has anyone ever used Tumblr before, or Squarespace? It's pretty much the same thing, except the difference is, unlike Squarespace and Tumblr, WordPress offers unlimited features. So just about any kind of website running any kind of business can run on WordPress. So WordPress is like it. And it's very easy to use. So you're not going to have to learn how to code, go to General Assembly or Udemy or whatever, and take all these crash courses. You could pretty much do this with the current level of tech skill that you have. Okay, so you'll go to post and create new. So there are a couple ways to do it. Is you hover over posts and you hover over add new, it'll take you there. Now there's another way you can do that. If you notice that new button up here and you click that, that will also take you to a new post. So just make sure to click post and not something else. Okay, so yeah, here's the other option. So there's always more than one way to go from A to B. This being an example. Okay, are we good so far? And please holler if you want me to step back and repeat anything, because I know stuff on Zoom already is a challenge as it is. And then when you're talking about new software you never used before, and you add Zoom to the mix, it's just absolutely wrong. So
I just have a quick clarification question. So sorry, this is just to rewind a little bit. Do you want us to access all of this through paintedbrain or through WordPress?
So it's going to be paintedbrain.org/WP-admin.
Okay.
It's also in the email that you should have received today or yesterday. it has all the steps. So even if you can't totally follow it right now and you have some issues, don't worry. I'm sending the recording. You have screenshot guides, and I'm also available for one-on-one support. So everything is taken care of, all peachy. So yeah,
Thank
hope
you.
that helps. Yeah. Okay. Now here we are. Here we're at the new post. So this is where you're gonna dump everything. See this body right here? This is where you dump everything on there. Just literally like everything that you copied and pasted. And you'll notice that the formatting will be preserved. If you have links on your Google document, if you have boldface, italicization, or bullet points, you're gonna see this when it pops up on here, which is kind of a neat feature that WordPress allows, because it's kind of like saying it supports Microsoft Word, it supports Google Document, and pretty much those types of formats, with the exception of PDF. But anyways, okay, let's see. I wanted to show something really quick. Oh, I forgot. I'm going to do this myself. So I'm copying, pasting, and where is my Hootsuite? Oh, I know where my Hootsuite is. Okay, so as I was saying, and it's always good to repetition's always good, right? You never learn something once. Good luck if you do. Post, new post, and then I go in here, and when I paste and copy, when I copy and paste, it's going to basically, I'm going to have to separate the title from it. So bear with me. My internet is Spectrum, which means they're very slow. I don't know if upgrading my service is going to help, but just giving you a heads up. So just for now, while I'm waiting for it to load, imagine that you have your title at the very top, and you would take away the title. So select all, just the title, and Command X or Control X. Are we all good with keyboard shortcuts? Select A, Command C, Command X, Command X. All right, cool. I have a
What's
cheat
Command
sheet,
X?
or Control X on PC. What it does is it cuts. So it copies what you have on the clipboard, but unlike the copy, it actually like deletes it. But you can paste it somewhere else. That's the only difference.
That's cool. I didn't know that had a shortcut.
Oh, well, there you go. There's other shortcuts. Do you notice what I just did right now? I triple click a line, sentence, paragraph, and it selects the whole thing. Watch, I'll do it again. You heard those clicks, right? I hope my audio's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to Control X, Command X, rather. I'm a Mac person.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
Yeah. So another thing I should add is if you're a Mac person or PC person, and I say Command X, I'm really means for PC people Control X. So it's either Command X or Control X, Command A or Control A. Just to know that with a Mac, I say Command it. In a PC, it actually means Control something. Just to clarify. Okay, so we should be here. And now we're wondering, right? What are we going to do with this? Now that we have everything pasted on this dashboard, what do I do next? Okay, so this is where we get into some copywriting principles. So I'm going to, so the first thing that we do is we need to decide what our topic is, rather, which keywords based on our topic that you want to accentuate to the search engine Google when you post this, so that Google knows that these are your keywords. So oftentimes there's a trending hashtag or a trending keyword when you go on online, whether it's on Twitter or Google, and you'll notice that what keywords that you choose is really important because it has to match the intent of the reader. Like if somebody's going in there and they're looking for headache relief, they're not going to be typing in depression in their search. So you want to be accurate and make sure you convey that information accurately to the search engine. And here's one way to do that. Okay, so like the example of this, Korean barbecue in Los Angeles, all you can eat. Okay, this is not Seattle, this is Los Angeles. And there are certain parameters that you have to think about when it sends you the results. And for all intents and purposes, Google is your librarian. Okay, if you consider the World Wide Web make it a library, and replace books with websites, okay? It's the exact same thing, because your librarian has two things that it needs to figure out. One, it needs to know where to place your book, or in this case, your blog. It also needs to know where to retrieve it in order to help somebody who's going to the librarian and saying, I'm looking for a topic based on these keywords. I'm looking for a topic about shoes. I'm looking for something on Amazon, and I'm looking for something for men or for whatever. And then like that librarian's job is to then go over there into its rows and rows of billions of websites out there. I mean, it's really like a universe like of stars. I mean, there's probably billions, beyond billions of websites out there, and like literally every day, like millions of new pages are being posted. And our deep thing is that we want to stand out. So consider search engine intent, consider the keywords that we're using. And these are some of the keywords that you used in the past. And these are some that you should try to use whenever possible, because we do talk about mental health. We do talk about mental illness. Anxiety and depression are very, very popular topics right now. People are just eating it up, especially post-COVID. And notice that keywords hashtag, it's almost the same thing, really. If you turn a search engine into social media and you treat it as one, the keywords become the hashtags. Anyways, I'm not going to go too much into that because this isn't about social media. This is about blogging. Okay, so some things that WordPress takes care of you is your title is going to go in here. So paintedbrain.org, 8-ways-your-health-services-needs-a-social-media. So the keywords are in there. For my article, it's mental health, social media, and maybe behavioral health, right? Since it's in there, I should find those as my keywords. For you, I made your job easier because all you have to do is you have to go to this topic sheet, and I filled in the keywords that you can include. Now you could add a few more. Whatever you do, don't go over 8 keywords. That'll confuse your librarian, and they're going to be like, this is not helpful. You need to narrow it down a little bit. So how accurately you provide this data to the search engine inside the content when you publish it, you're helping that librarian find the right place to store it so they can send it to the right people. Does that make sense? Sort of like, so you want to make the librarian's life as easy as possible. And if you do, they're going to make your life a little bit better, at least where they're concerned and your blog article is concerned. So a number of ways that you can do that. So first, keywords. So I would just simply copy the keywords here and, you know, tweak it later. I'm not like being strict about like exactly what keywords to use, but just know that keywords are one of the important topics and you want to provide that. Oh, what happened with, oh my God. Oh, scared me for a second. Did you see what just happened right now? It like pulled a disappearing trick on me and I was wondering what happened. Okay, so tags, do you see this? I'm gonna stay there for like a minute. I'm gonna paste it and I'm gonna add. I know there's another step. I know this is kind of like too much to ask because we're doing this in 2 trainings, but another thing that you would want to do is that when you have the option of controlling what the preview to your post is going to look like when it shows up on Google, you do want to have it here too. So I simply paste it on both places. I know it's a pain, but blame WordPress. Okay, and then keywords. Okay, so I see a couple of keywords here. One of them is mental health, digital mental health. So I'm gonna look for mental health. Okay, behavioral health comes close. And remember, Google has artificial intelligence. They can approximate words and know what synonyms words are. So a lot of times, if you make a typo, do you notice they spell it for you? If you do a Google search, has anyone experienced that? I think just about anyone. Okay, now an important principle is to have your keywords early on because your librarian, unlike your actual librarian, Google, what it goes through is they have something called crawlers, okay, that go throughout the World Wide Web. think of it like as a taxi or Uber or something, and it goes from book to book to book to book, shelf to shelf to shelf to shelf, go through entire book, each book, every page from top to bottom. And what it sees early on when it's scanning through your page, it's going to determine a lot of stuff what it decides about what this is. So having your first paragraph strategically done is very helpful. I could have put social media here, but why not put it on the top paragraph? Now, another place that's very impactful is the bottom paragraph, because I mean, let's face it, right? When somebody makes a State of the Union address, what do you remember the most? The beginning and the end, maybe? Or same thing with a movie, maybe? Remember the beginning and the end? Forget about the details in the middle. But Google knows this too, so that they're gonna, now this, look what happens here. There is no actual keywords to match mental health in here. So I'm gonna have to tweak this a little bit, and I'm gonna somehow have to add in here something mental health. So I'm not gonna actually like save this, but and then I'm gonna boldface it, okay? So make believe that, by the way, Lorem Ipsum is in Latin. It's like a filler text. When we're doing learn web design, they tell us like use Latin, so it means gibberish, but it's actually not. Okay, now another thing that Google likes is structure. When you structure your content so that you not only have a title, you have a heading, you have subheadings, and your subheadings are also aligned with the keywords that you're using. Ideally speaking, you would have keywords inside the important places like your title, like your headings, or your subheadings, or your first paragraph, or your last paragraph. Now, there's many ways to signal to Google that this is an important keyword, and one way is to do boldface. Another is to add additional stylizations, like you can also underline this and really points out to Google that if this is the only thing you're underlining near the top of the page, when it reads this, it's going to know that you are talking about behavioral health agency. So they're looking at like B.D. Hirsch, Edelman, Alcott, us, Painted Brain, kind of broadly. And they see it at the very top. Okay, so back to these sides. Okay, so I went over URL, meaning the link to the article like this, which WordPress sort of takes care of it for you. Now, do you notice that in the title, now I'm shifting gears a little bit because I'm talking about grounding techniques for anxiety now. And it has anxiety disorder in the title. I managed to put it in the first heading, and I even managed to put this head in the last paragraph in the first. Now, the thing with search engine optimization is you want it to sound natural. You don't want to stuff keywords into it where it looks like you're artificially trying to game the system, because Google will see through it right away. Google is very intelligent. I mean, you'd be dumbfounded. You'd be scared if you know what Google knows about you right now. It's crazy. And now they're talking about self-driving cars. And did you know, actually, this is a true story. Facebook is capable of analyzing your language on your post and to find out if somebody is in the verge of hypomanic episode or a depression or anxiety. They use language, they use emojis, they use all this stuff to figure that out. Does that scare you, sort of? Don't be scared. I mean, it's just Facebook, who cares? Now Mark Zuckerberg already knows a villain, right? We don't need to beat that dead horse. Okay, first paragraph, last paragraphs, just like a movie or a speech, very important. Okay, so this is one that one of our interns wrote about. So URL keyword match, check. I have a checklist, which I also included in the stuff that I sent, and I'll send it again, just, so it's there. And I managed to hit mental health in the top. Now, don't force it. Whatever you do, don't force it where it sounds unnatural. You want it to seamlessly fit the keyword into your writing. It was just the right density and frequency that you're signaling to Google that this is one of your big topics, so that when somebody searches for mental health service gaps or whatever the article is, topic is, it's likely to look at yours first. because you did all of your due diligence. You went through, you're very conscientious to Google, making sure your librarian has everything it needs to make an accurate, place to store it. So you're making Google's life a lot easier, and they're going to reward you by making you show up higher on the search results. Okay, so these are some of the checklist things that you can go by. Oh, another thing, Google loves bullet points. By the way, anybody here likes bullet points? Okay, anybody here hates bullet points? Please holler or raise your hand if you do not like bullet points. I take silence as a complete no from everyone. Okay, let's face it, we love bullet points, right? We do. I mean, come on, we're humans. Well, so does Google. You know why? Because we do. So Google's going to reward people who structure their article, who have headings, who stylize and boldface important things, make it clusters of content that they could really help Google understand what this is about and what's important. And you have bullet points for crying out loud. Now Google's really your best friend, and you want that because it's like reciprocal. Every website has something similar to a social credit profile. Like if you use broken links, if your page sucks, if it takes forever to load, if your images are not loading, or it's getting some weird stuff, Google will see that and they're going to downgrade you. Did you know that? If your website sucks, they're going to know, and they're going to like, yeah, so don't let it suck. Okay. But we're, intelligent, really educated folks, so I'm sure that's not a problem. Okay, now you might be wondering, how do I bullet point? How do I boldface? Okay, good. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. I'm going to show you how to bullet point. Okay, now this, let's say that I want to turn this into bullets. Can you see this? Ooh.
Yes.
That was kind of dope, right? I mean, you just sit there and watch it happen. Okay, now watch this. Remember this. Now, just because I said this, I don't want you to overdo it and start making everything a bullet point and then make everything you write a listicle. By the way, have you heard of the word listicle before? Okay, it's list article. And when somebody really overdoes it, and if you want to know what a listicle is, just go on BuzzFeed. I mean, seriously, they're nothing but listicles. I'm sure it works for them, but after a while, it kind of gets old, right? And then you want to move on from BuzzFeed. Whenever you want to make a subheading or heading, you want to select it. Oh, right, my own thing. Triple click, go to heading. And when it's a subheading, like there's 3 for each article, generally speaking, but there could be more. There could be 4 or 5. Usually there's an introduction, there's a takeaway paragraph, and there's like 3 main points, right? Usually, most of the time. So when you do that, heading 2, oh, wait a minute, why did I do that? Okay, I didn't do that. Heading 2, okay, that's much better. Okay, so I do that. I first divide this up. If you haven't read it enough, it's somebody else's blog that you're editing. I thought I turned my phone off. And you, down, you distracted me. Okay, so 3 generally bullet points, or subheading, excuse me, or more, and you're accentuating bullet points. So in this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, because there were 8 here. So Google's going to actually expect 8 subheadings. And if you don't have 8 subheadings, it's going to be like, shouldn't it be 7 on your title? Seriously, they look at things like that. I mean, does that surprise you? Anyone? Doesn't surprise you? They probably know your social security number and your driver's license, and they probably know what your blood type is. So, I mean, come on, right? Doesn't matter at this point. Okay, so I talked about tags. I talked about now categories. Categories. Here's another one. Okay, so this is what you can do. Again, I made your life easier. All you have to do is go to category. Category, and then editorial, blog, editorial, lifestyle. So actually lifestyle blog. So all you have to do is check mark the categories that are involved. So like this is going to be blog, and this is going to be social media. Here it goes. And I have the keyword tags. That's metadata for the search engines. I have it on here. And another cumbersome step is that this does not look like I want something for Google to show people. I want Google to show the actual title of my blog, and this is what the preview is going to look like. So I'm going to, I mean, presentation matters, right? Sort of. I mean, people are still people. Okay. Another thing about title is the best titles are 120 characters or less, because it gets cut off after that. And then like, it's not the best display. So again, don't knock yourself out trying to make it shorter than 120 characters, but know that that is ideal. Okay, and then description. I'm just gonna like, just throw whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna choose. What I would choose is choose something with your keyword in it, because when it's in there, and if you do a Google search, have you noticed that the terms that you type into search, it's bolded? Have you noticed that when it shows you an excerpt and you want it to be in there, right? So it's going to increase the likelihood, not only that Google will display it near the top, but your reader will actually see, oh, okay, it has my keyword in there. Great. Maybe I'll try this first. Okay, so now this is more what it's going to look like. Isn't it a lot better? Would you say it's a lot better? Anyone disagree that it's okay? It's better. Okay, and this checklist actually has a lot of it broken down. So I say here, don't aim for 100% and avoid keyword stuffing. Don't make it sound unnatural because Google can see through it. Okay, first paragraph, last paragraph, keyword permalink, taken care of. Use a feature image for posts. Okay, can anyone guess why Google favors articles that has images or YouTube links or videos in it? Anyone like to guess why Google prefers that?
Because we do. We like visuals.
Okay, any more volunteers for likes visuals? What else? Anyone?
I think that if you have some other resources on your like a video, then it might increase the time that someone is on your page.
Oh, definitely. Have you noticed, like, if you go to like Apple News or something, and there's almost always a video on there, so you can either watch it or you can read it. And I know some people are talking about like blogs will be dead. They're not. Some people love to read and they will never stop liking to read. Some people love radio, and no matter how many billions of users TikTok accumulates, and we're all like, oh, wow, this video, raw video. Yeah, guess what? People are always going to tune into radio because that's how we are, human nature. That's why Clubhouse is so big now. You would think, what? It's not video. Why would you want that? People still dig that, you know, podcasts, Clubhouse, and the written word, those count. And yeah, so by that definition, blogs are hardly obsolete. That being said, it shouldn't be the only type of content that we should do. That's why we do have videos and we have other stuff. So I'm going to go a little bit over into how to add an image to your article if we have time today. And if not, well, let's see how much time we have. Okay, so the general rule is to embed an image in your blog or web page no more than every 4 or 5 paragraphs. So kind of like Swedish meatballs, right? This meatballs are kind of like the image, and the gravy or the sauce, which is most of it, is like the text. And you want to pepper it in there to make it eye candy like. And yes, Google favors eye candy. If there's too much text, it's hard to read, forget it. So break up paragraphs, make it smaller, break down sentences. So anyone guess why the difference matters on how long your sentence is? Like longer sentences versus shorter sentences. All right, I'll tell you. So when you're talking and you're reading out a sentence out loud, when do you hold your breath until? From the beginning word, usually until the period, right? You're like holding your breath till you finish that sentence. And the longer the sentence, the longer you got to hold your breath. Search engines also look at that. They're looking at, okay, when the reader is forced to read an entire paragraph of a sentence without a period, It's kind of like asking you to hold your breath for the entire time. And it's not your breath that you're holding, because the mind is kind of like, it's saying, it's going to not evaluate the content of what it has read until it sees that period and knows that it has completed reading that sentence. The brain is not going to process it till then. And you give it a huge chunk of info to process, you're asking the reader to do a lot more work than is reasonable. And that's another reason they'll leave you. You just have to make it as easy as possible to the reader. So I know, like in college essays, you're like, yeah, make it really packed with words and whatever. But here it's like the opposite. You know, you really want to make the word shorter, keep the word simple, keep the vocabulary simple, keep the tone conversational, keep paragraphs short, put in a lot of images, just like you would put a lot of meatballs in Swedish meatballs, and, or you know, you put in and out, okay, like double. Do you have like a bun and then the meat? You don't have all the meat thrown together. You have the bun and then the meat and then the bun. Same idea. I know maybe it's not the best metaphor, but eye candy does matter. And finally, I think it was Ellie that said, when you have something, a resource that people can watch, like a video, it does better, right? Which is true. Another way to do it is to have links pointing to other sites that are authoritative or that are relevant for people that want to expand further on what you're saying. Like, for example, when something is underlined and hyperlinked, it usually is a sign, like, for example, if you click on this, it's going to take you to an article that talks about millennials and Gen X and social media. And I chose to make this hyperlink like this. Okay, let's say I want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to, and this is more an overview, so try not to remember this today. The important thing is the keywords, the structure, the bullets, what was it, the beginning, end paragraph, and how to do WordPress and how to add the categories and the keywords. Those will take care of a lot of it. And I think I'll probably go into the images next week. Okay, so there we are. Now, this is how you add a hyperlink. Now, let's say the Mayo Clinic has more information about depression. Like maybe, okay, maybe I'm gonna do a search on this, and I'm gonna find something on a Google search, and I'm gonna hyperlink establish brand awareness. And I'm seeing, okay, what are some authoritative sites? HubSpot is good. So I'm going to choose HubSpot. It's a marketing service that has a very excellent blog. They write stuff about, there's also Cornell. So whenever it's an EDU extension, that automatically gives it a lot of weight. Did you know that? When you hyperlink to an EDU or .gov or something. All right, so I'm going to copy the link and go back, and I'm going to, now I have this selected. Do you see this? Insert link. And then you have to press this. And then guess what happens? Okay, brand awareness is not exactly a keyword. It comes sort of close. Now, a crude way of doing this is if you want to make behavioral health a link, you not only bold-faced it, you not only underlined it, which tells Google this is especially important for you, but if you're adding a link to it, that even adds a third signal to Google that you're actually going to expand upon it by offering a link to it. So let's say that I type in behavioral health, and I would ask you if you were to do this to be a little more selective about, you know, the sources you include on there. You generally know what's authoritative and what's not, right? If it's like a trusted news source or something, academic journal or Psychology Today or, you know, Wikipedia, those are trusted and you could pretty much use them. Okay, so not to get too long into like what's a better link than another link. Let's say that I chose this link because it's really what I want to see. I checked out the page. It really does relevantly connect to the text in the link about Gen X and millennials on social media. So I go here and then I select all, I link, and I paste. Generally, it's good to have at least 3 hyperlinks. Should be a lot more, really. Not too much, but there should be a lot of links. You should be offering links to sites. And again, when you offer links to good content, that someone actually clicks on that link and it takes them somewhere and they actually stay on the page. Google knows that too. And hyperlinks is another way to build credibility for your page. So the more authoritative links, the more interesting YouTube videos or TED Talks that you want to put in there. And there are some good TED Talks and there are ways to embed them. So I'll show you next week. Those are all ways to score points with your search engine. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah, how do you add photos to this post? Because I tried copying and pasting some photos that I had on my Google Doc, but it didn't
Oh yeah.
paste.
Here's what sucks about it. I know if it's Microsoft Word, actually, I think it does let you, but when it's Google Docs, the images won't show, right? So can you use like a different sample image just for now? Or better yet, you know what? I'm going to send you a link to a group of photos that you can use because I'll be using it for my example. So images to you.
And then I had another question about photos. I put it in the chat, but are we expected to cite them or include some sort of reference for them at all? Or can we just kind of just put them on there?
Yeah, so there are 2 things to consider. One, the quality of the photo. And second, are you breaking any copyright rules? And that's big, that's important. So here is a workaround. After today, after this meeting is over, I'm going to send you a couple of links to websites where you can get stock free photos. Do you know what stock free means? If you use a stock free image on a sales website, will you run into trouble? Anyone? No, right? No strings attached. And yes, you should always cite the image. It's good search engine optimization for one thing. And if you offer a link to that photographer or that person that's showing you that image, you're doing another favor for them. And it's kind of like karma, you know, good karma, bad karma, what comes around goes around. When you do this little extra steps and you credit somebody, they will pick that up. I mean, maybe not always, but Google will. So you want to be meticulous about citing sources. And the okay, I jumped to it too soon. I have to show this images first, so I'm going to send this out. Meanwhile, does anybody else have other questions that I could go through while I'm working this?
Yeah, I had actually a few questions. So my topic that I picked doesn't have any keywords or any like categories like blog, editorial, anything like that.
Neither
Which
does mine,
topic?
actually.
Yeah. Could you tell me which topic it is?
I picked it's like good internet it's right there. Good internet service is still a luxury, number 25.
25. Okay. Digital health Charlie is a good one because people need that for digital health and we're all about that, telehealth. Or even better, digital mental health. You might even want to include mental health just to cover all the bases because somebody does a search not for digital but mental wellness or mental health awareness, maybe you'll show up. Internet, what was it, digital divide? All right, how's that?
Yeah.
And
And
then
yeah.
category, it should be, there it goes, the help.
Yeah. And then my other question was, is the title for the article different from the topic? Because the title of the topic, like good internet service is still luxury in the US, that's the title of the reference article for that topic. So I can make a different title, right?
Yeah, it's always preferred. Now most of these are linked
Mhm,
another news or blog article of the exact same title.
mhm.
And yeah, I would recommend changing it around, changing it up, making it your own. And don't try to get too anal about 120 characters and you're going to drive yourself nuts. Don't. If you
Sure.
can fit your keywords, great. If you cannot, there's other ways to do it.
Okay.
So back to your question about the topic. Yeah. So to answer your question, it is good to change it up a little bit. And you could really use that link as one of your sources, really.
Yeah.
As long as you do, they're not going to think you copycatted their title. Now, if you're going to use them as a link, you'll definitely want to change the title. So they're not going to look at you funny.
Yeah.
But if you're linking to somebody else, maybe you can be a little lazy, but you should still change it. You should still make it your own title. But, close enough, I suppose, it's good. Now, if you can't think of any way to tweak a title, let me know and maybe I could help you with that. Okay. Did that help? Did I answer your question, Naz?
Yes, that was good. I think Nazma said one of hers doesn't have.
Yeah,
Any-
mine, I think they're keywords, but there's no category for mine for that one that you're hovering on.
Yeah. And this is a topic that I've been waiting for someone to take for the longest time. It's kind of an old topic now at this point because it's like 2 months, 3 months when
Right.
the ceasefire actually wasn't happening. And that's when it should have been published. So you might have to change it a little bit. You're going to have to change the title. You're going to have to make it like, okay, we're not 3 months ago when that crazy stuff happened. Now we're like post ceasefire and we're talking about something totally different.
Got it. Yeah, that's kind of where I went with it anyway.
Yeah. So news, maybe editorial. Are you going to include opinions on it?
Opinions, maybe.
If you're going to opinionate, definitely make it editorial.
No, not
Also,
necessarily opinionate.
I mean, it's fine if you want to. It's just don't get too political,
No,
because
not necessarily opinionate.
yeah, usually somebody's going to get mad at you if you get political, one or the other side of the aisle. New blog, I guess, mental health.
And then I also had another question. When
Mm-hmm.
would you like all of these published? Because I think, speaking for myself, I just have to make little tweaks. Yeah,
Yes.
so would you like them on there?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I know we're running out of time and I want to get to that place. Okay, so you can always save your work. And by the way, you don't have to publish it because we have an editor who goes through them and does a spot check and make sure like the SEO stuff is done right and it has a feature image and the preview on Google, it looks right, when you go to the bottom. These things are all important. So there is somebody to do that. So all you have to do is save the draft like this. And basically it's all you have to do. Now, if you're really curious about how to publish it, I mean, it's pretty, just publish it, but don't, please don't, at least not now. But what you can do now is how you did it this week. You went into Google Docs to make a copy. You're not going to have to do that anymore. Now you can just simply log into WordPress, save it as a draft. And when you do, you're going to see something that looks like this. Give me a sec to load. Okay, so this shows that Christina is currently editing this.
Hey, Kevin, I have a quick question.
Yep.
I got a little excited and published mine. Is there a way to unpublish it so the editor can review?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay. So you would go to the posts. So you would go to all posts, or you can
Okay.
simply click on posts. That'll also take you there. So this click, or
Okay,
this
hold
click.
on 1 second. It's just loading for me.
Yeah. No worries.
I had a really
Okay.
quick question. Actually, when I go to the all posts, nothing shows up on my page. Is that normal?
The what? Say that again.
So when I'm on the dashboard in WordPress and I click on all posts, there's nothing there. It just says no post. There's like nothing. It doesn't show this list you're looking at.
There's a possibility that I may have mistakenly not put you as an author, and that's why it's not showing. That might be it. Actually, I'll have to go in there and change it if that's the case.
Yeah, Vivian, it's actually the same for me. It's just there's nothing there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just me. I didn't know if that was normal.
Okay. Do you have, are you able to get in there as like a link or something, as like a new blog article, or is it stop you when you get to all posts?
I can make a new post that looks
Oh,
like,
no, don't need to. Unless there's another reason for it that actually is a good one. Otherwise, you have to write on.
yeah, like it gives me the add new post option, but when I'm on the post, like if I just click on post, there's no like published post to show up like what you're looking at right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow up with you and who's the other person having trouble with it? Nazma?
No, me, Talia.
Talia.
Yeah.
Okay, so Talia and Vivian, I'll follow up with you later after I check to make sure that you are an author, and you should be able to see this just like that. So I guess for now, just make believe, pretend like everything is working great and you're going in here and you're doing what she's doing, but really you won't have to do anything because all I'm gonna do is go into quick edit, status draft, it's from published to draft. So I'll leave it like
Okay.
that for a sec. By the way, did you know that when you post an article, it doesn't immediately go to Google? You would think it does, right? Because computers are like so fast. But keep in mind, there's billions of websites out there. It sends robots, crawlers, to go through every single website. And it's looking for all the new stuff that just got posted. And it's going to read every single page, every single word of every single page of every single thing on that site before it determines where to store it, right? Where to index it, how to index it. And because there's so many freaking websites in the whole wide world right now, it's probably not going to see yours for at least 3 weeks.
Los Angeles, CA 1323.
I don't know if something happened to my phone, but it's not going silent. All right. Gordon here. Hopefully you can't hear anything. So yeah, does that give you access to it to go in here? I mean, the worst happens, I can go in there and change it because right now I didn't really mean to, make it a thing about the draft versus publish. And I didn't clarify that yesterday, which I should have. I should have said let's just keep it published, but so at least
Also, Kevin,
yeah.
does the blog like automatically save, or do we have to click a save button before we exit?
Yeah. I know if it was like Google Drive, it'd be great. It's not. You have to save it each time, so it saves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that button.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So, but this is the only button here that you'll want to worry about. Like, pretend this doesn't exist. Preview is good because when you preview, it tells you what it's going to look like when it posts. And when it does, you're going to see immediately what still needs to be added. For one thing, the feature image, right? And we're asking how to get the feature image. And oh, I totally forgot I was gonna send this. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
send
that's what I was gonna that's what I was gonna ask. Like, wait, so how do we put it in?
I mean, there's always next week, but yeah.
Is it okay if I ask another question?
Absolutely not. Go ahead.
Okay.
What's your question?
So I found like an open source research article, and I used it for like a statistic. So I thought link it. But the problem I have with that is a lot of research isn't necessarily in accessible language. Is it still a good idea to link it to the research if I am concerned about people's ability to read it effectively?
Okay. Short question first. Have you ever read any blogs by NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness? If you do, you'll notice that some of the links they send you to are to those. And I'm like, why are they doing that? Because unless you're an academic, you might have a hard time making sense of it.
Right.
I would say is it's good to use to put something below, like works cited or something, and a link to that NCBI or Mayo Clinic or Harvard, whatever review, something. I don't know. But then like Also put it in understandable language somewhere and hyperlink that page, because it really is saying the same thing. You're just saying it in English and not some crazy Greek academic speak that, you know. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, and about images, I'm going to be going into it more in depth next week, so don't rush it too much. The important thing right now is the keywords idea, matching the user's intent with the keywords, navigating on WordPress enough to save the draft, and knowing to cover the categories, the keywords, and I didn't send this yet. Oh my gosh. I keep distracting myself. Did I spell anything wrong here? You should probably know by now, Google getting buggy is not exactly unheard of. Has anyone here not ever had Google issues? Google go buggy? Please holler if you do. I'm always curious to know. I expect you to get no. Google is. Maybe it's somebody who's not on the our company email that's on here. So I'm gonna. Oh, by the way, who needs the image? Maybe I could start with there. So people that don't need it, I won't send it to.
I need an image.
Who?
This is Christina.
Vivian? Christina?
And this is Nazma. I need one too, but
Alright.
I can also find one as well.
What the? Go to unsplash.com. Unsplash.com. That's one of the links that I'm going to send you today. Totally stock free. High quality images. I'll put it in chat too, just, you know. Another one, pixabay.com. No strings attached. And finally, if you use Canva, Canva has a whole library of stock free photos. And we have a Canva Pro account that our graphic artists use. It's really the best graphic art thing out there. Okay, so find something on there. Now, when you do, here's the trick to making sure that an image is going to be Google friendly. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna use an example of one of I'm gonna find a random article and I'm gonna take a random image. Now, when you save the image file first, what you do is you want to make the image file name very descriptive. Can anyone guess why? It helps to have a very descriptive file name. And why having a something like image.01.ab.jpg is not as good as having something like Cyto High School, art show, and the name of the artist who was on there on the image and the title of the artwork itself. And maybe a link to the artist's website if they have one. That will be a complete way to attribute, give credit to that image. Okay, so when I download this, oh, okay, it's 12 o'clock now. So technically, I can't ask anyone to stay beyond 12 o'clock. But if you have any questions, feel free to just interrupt me right now. And I'm assuming that you're staying if you have time or you're at liberty to, and it's with your own consent. Now, what I'm going to do here is, now let's see, what's the title of the article? Okay. Well, I can't think of what, I'm going to just say, woman suffering from depression. Or maybe, okay, let's say that this is my article. Behavioral health, social media, website, example, right? It has my keyword in it, behavioral health, it has social media in it. And assuming that this is some kind of an informational resource that I'm gonna put a link to, I'm gonna save it as this. So when I upload it to my future image, and so I'm gonna go back to this. And is anybody interested in embedding YouTube videos or Instagram posts or TED Talks in your blog? Anyone? Give me a holler if you are. Oh, I can't see anyone, so I assume no one's interested. Okay, that's fine. I mean, if you are, let me know. Like some really good tech talks really make nice links to it, and also for media that you sandwich between paragraphs. Okay, so here it is. Publish, right? That, save draft. Categories, which we covered. Tags, which we covered. And now featured image. And by the way, you can always use this source to, if you have any navigation, it's like how to add stylization, how to add images in between text. So it's all there. So I think I made it pretty comprehensive. It's not fully loading. That's why it looks like that. It shows you how to upload an image from a computer and so on. Okay, so back to what I was doing. Okay, so I'm gonna select a file and I'm gonna upload that exact file that I just downloaded. And this is a shortcut because this will save you the trouble of having to type in the alt description. Okay, I don't have the exact image. I'm not gonna go through right now, but do you notice that I have a whole sentence here? Don't use social media to impress. Okay, I need to change that. It should be a full word. Use it to impact people. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make this my image. Because the title was spelled out exactly the way it is. When I go in here, it's not gonna be some weird file name. And this file name that's not going to really help Google understand what the image is. Now here's another thing, okay? There's accessibility issues to be considered. When the image doesn't fully load, the alt description is what's going to display in place of the image. So people with visual impairments or auditory impairments like that, how accessible it is, that is another thing you get scored on social media. So you should always have your alt image included on there. Make sense? Accessibility, and it, there are people, and it does count. Caption, this is where you can put in like image by so and so from this website. Now description, I would make the caption description the same thing, just copy and paste it in description. And I'll show you next week how to make an image itself a hyperlink. But this is how you add an image. So I set a featured image. I go in here and it's gonna, and by the way, I know I didn't add the description and the caption, but just know that it's important to have that metadata. Do you all know what I mean by metadata? Like when you take a photo, the exact geolocation, the day, the time it was done, right? These are things that don't show up on the content, but it is everything to the person that's using it. So think of it like that. You're giving Google metadata to help it sort your thing better and to pick it up for the right people. Okay, so now I have this preview. It's gonna look like this. And by the way, did you know that ever since the pandemic, and this has not slowed down, the amount of time people spent online has dramatically increased, and it hasn't really dipped that much, even though the lockdown is sort of over. Social media use has spiked, and it shows no signs of slowing down. And more mental health agencies are realizing that a lot of people talk about their mental health issues on platforms like Facebook groups and Twitter, that to ignore it is ignoring a vital constituency. So like several agencies actually hired us to teach them how to do social media marketing for their behavioral health agency and services. So like that, Cher, Alcott, they hired us. It's like kind of a random comment, but okay, there we are. It's like that. Your author will show up on here automatically. Well, I'm the author on this one. And the subheadings. And I know that based on this, I could probably use some images. Yeah, maybe some TED Talks or YouTube videos, some images. Maybe if you find a really good Instagram post, maybe I could even put that in there. Maybe one of our Instagram posts. So when they click on it, it'll take them to Painted Brains Instagram page. That's another strategy, the way you can use to leverage hyperlinks to get people to not only promote your website, blog, but also your other channels like Instagram. So consider those different ways that you can use to strategize when you're adding links to your page, when you're adding YouTube videos to it, when you're adding TED Talks, when you're adding certain sources on there, supplemental sources, and you're really thinking, is this gonna, not just thinking is Google gonna give me more hits for this, but really thinking, is this truly gonna be useful for the person whose search intent is based on their keywords? Does that make sense? Like kind of getting into their heads and like knowing. Based on our research, we made it easy so you don't have to worry about which right keywords you can use. You can use those keywords, and then what you have to do is to sprinkle them in there in just the right way. And again, not too perfectionist about it, 70% maybe. And every single thing that you do, okay, 99 out of the people, 100 people out there that are marketers, okay, that are professionals, that are using their social media, guess what? They don't have a clue about any of this. They're not doing any of this. They're not doing any of their homework. They're just posting their content and thinking that the world is going to see their stuff. Now, guess what? That is good news for us. You know why? We're that 1%. So, and we drill every single year people who are writing our blogs to consider that, because it's going to really help promote not only our brand, but them as an author. So now I have quite a big community of contributors, and whenever they post something, they have to put their name next to it so that no one else could take the topic. And then I exit out and then I bring it down so other stuff could replace it. But it kind of works like my way of trying to crowdsource it. Like pick your topic here, and some people have author privileges on WordPress, so they literally go in there and they can make a draft immediately. They send me a heads up. I don't go to a Google Doc and bring it to a new post. I simply go to the posts, look for their name and their title, and I start from there. So it's meant to make it streamlined, smooth. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for now. I think I was able to cover images. Does any final questions that anybody has about anything?
Did we still need to change it so that Talia and I can see the posts on our list? Like when we click all posts, yeah.
Yeah, now that's something I will have to follow up with you on. So
Okay.
I will do that today.
Okay.
What's a good time I can reach you?
Just through email, right? I mean, whenever. But
Okay. Vivian and Ellie, Talia and Vivian. All right, cool. I remember it now. All right, so I'm going to email you, and then you can check to see if it's popping up. And if it's not, I'm sure it will.
Okay.
Cool.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you everyone for being attentive and patient with my Spectrum sucking really bad today. Don't blame me for it. Blame my internet service provider. They suck. Anyone else with Spectrum? You can relate. You can totally empathize. Okay, great. So the next blog, please have it by Tuesday next week. And then, but this time, don't even think about Google Docs. You can go straight into WordPress. Save the Google Doc for something else. And then I'll provide feedback by email for this blog and the next blog.
Do you want it already formatted, like the draft completed in WordPress as well?
Yes, do everything that you're able to do based on what you remembered from today in terms of like adding the ingredients to make it more search engine friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where the 99% of the people out there are too dumb to think about. Okay, they're not dumb, they're just ignorant about it.
Okay.
But we're not. We're ahead of 99%. And all we have to do is a few additional steps. It's not too bad, right? I mean, because we are here in this business. You guys are here as interns, but still, we want to help Painted Brain get the word out there, and you'd be satisfied knowing that this is a way that you're actually going to make a difference. So, all right, cool. I'm not going to take any more of your time. You can always bug me, Slack, email, text, whatever. You have my number. It's always on my signature email. I seriously don't mind you calling me or texting me. But to be honest, text is the best way to reach me, because sometimes my voicemail, it goes straight to voicemail and I don't receive it till like the next day or something. So yeah.
Thank
All right.
you.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
Evan.
good
Thank you.
have a remainder of a happy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and weekend. And I see you next week.
Bye.